If you want to understand fast speech in English, you need to understand how we native speakers bring the words together and reduce and just speak more quickly. If you want to understand movies, music, anything like rap, you need to understand the rhythm and how we actually speak. So here's a good way to practice. Poems. Poems have that rhythm, and that rhythm relies on how people actually speak. So I've got one today for you. Too Many Daves by Dr Seuss, who is really popular in America at least, I know for sure. Great poems. So, first I'll read the whole thing. Did I ever tell you that Mrs. McCabe had 23 sons and she named them all Dave? Well, she did, and that wasn't a smart thing to do. You see, when she wants one and calls out, "You who, come into the house, Dave," she doesn't get one. All 23 Daves of hers come on the run. This makes things quite difficult at the McCabe's, as you can imagine, with so many Daves. And often she wishes that, when they were born, she'd named one of them Bodkin Van Horn, and one of them Hoos, and one of them Snim, and one of them Hotshot, and one Sonny Jim, and one of them Shadrach, and one of them Blinky, and one of them Stuffy, and one of them Stinky. Another one Put-Put, another one Moonface, another one Marvin O'Gravel Balloon Face, and one of them Ziggy, and one Soggy Muff, one Buffalo Bill, and one Biffalo Buff. And one of them Sneepy, and one Weepy Weed, and one Paris Garters, and one Harris Tweed, and one of them Sir Michael Carmichael Zut, and one of them Oliver Bolivar Butt, and one of them Zanzibar Buck Buck McFate, but she didn't do it, and now it's too late. So the rhythm is really clear. It's a silly poem, it's a kid's poem, and it's a great way for anybody to see how we speak. Let's take this first section, and you can practice on your own. You can probably find the poem online, Too Many Daves by Dr. Seuss, and just take it one section at a time to practice the pronunciation. I got the first section. Did I ever tell you that Mrs. McCabe had 23 sons and she named them all Dave? So, did I ever? I ever. So just sound I ever. There's no pause there, so we say I ever. So, did I ever tell you that Mrs. McCabe, we really don't say the T, tell you that Mrs. McCabe. So the Mrs. McCabe. Did I ever tell you that Mrs. McCabe, so, had 23 sons and she named them all Dave? I'm American, I say this all the time. Maybe some Americans don't. I'm from the South. I don't say 23. I say 23. 23. I kind of leave it out. Usually my T's sound like D's. So it sounds like 23. 23 sons. 23 sons and, sons, it's like a Z there. Sons and she named them all Dave. Sons and she named them all Dave. Them all. It comes together. Them all Dave. She named them all Dave. Sons and she named them all Dave. Had 23 sons and she named them all Dave. Did I ever tell you that Mrs. McCabe had 23 sons and she named them all Dave? Alright, so first practice those two lines together. Then, well, she did. And that wasn't a smart thing to do. Wasn't It's that sound. So, Wasn't a, we don't talk that way. Wasn't a smart thing to do. Wasn't a smart thing to do. Wasn't So wasn't a. Wasn't the smart thing to do. Wasn't a smart thing to do. Smart thing. We don't say that T. Skip the T. Smart thing to do. And that wasn't a smart thing to do. Again, no T there. So, well, she did, and that wasn't a smart thing to do. Wasn't a smart thing to do. So, you see, when she wants one and calls out, "You who?" Wants one, twun. That really comes together. Twun. Wants one. You have to finish that. TS, twun. When she wants one. You see, when she wants one. See, when she wants one. You see, when she wants one and wants one and. Wants one and calls. Leave out that D. So, wants one and calls. So, wants one and calls. If you say and calls, it's really hard to keep that rhythm going. When she wants one and calls out you who, again, calls out, is out, calls out. Wants one and calls out. When she wants one and calls out you who, you see when she wants one and calls out you who? There you go. So, well she did, and that wasn't a smart thing to do. You see when she wants one and calls out you who? So, 2 more lines to practice. Then bring them together. Did I ever tell you that Mrs. McCabe had 23 sons and she named them all Dave? Well, she did, and that wasn't a smart thing to do. You see when she wants one and calls out you who? Bring it all together. Now let's do 2 more. Come into the house, Dave. Into. It's that sound. Into. Come into. Minta. Come into. Come into the house, Dave. Come into the house, Dave. Come into the house, Dave. She doesn't get one. Come into the house, Dave. She doesn't get one. Doesn't get. That T is too hard to say. Skip it. Skip it. Doesn't get. Doesn't get. Doesn't get one. Get one? Twun? Get one? I say get. Get one. Get one. She doesn't get one. She doesn't get one. You can. I just leave it off. Maybe you might find a D sound in there somewhere, but get one. For me, that sounds really proper, and you're not going to find that in music so much. Come into the house, Dave. She doesn't get one. All 23 Daves of hers come on the run. So right here, same thing. 23. I leave off the T. Maybe you'll hear a D in there. All 23 Daves of hers. Of hers? Of hers. Of hers. Of hers. Leave off the H. Because the H, you lose too much air. Of hers. Of hers, of hers, of hers. So of hers together. Of hers. Of hers. Right? So. Of hers. Of hers come. Of hers come on. Come on the run. The. Same sound. So let's check this out. The run. Come on the run. Of hers come. Of hers come on the run. Dave's of hers come on the run. Dave's of. Dave's of hers. Dave's of hers. Dave's of hers come on the run. All 23 Dave's of hers come on the run. So, come into the house, Dave. She doesn't get one. All 23 Dave's of hers come on the run. Come into the house, Dave. She doesn't get one. All 23 Dave's of hers come on the run. Practice those, bring it all together. Did I ever tell you that Mrs. McCabe had 23 sons and she named them all Dave? Well, she did, and that wasn't a smart thing to do. You see when she wants one and calls out you who, come into the house, Dave. She doesn't get one. All 23 Daves of hers come on the run. You probably know all these words. Now, you can understand why you don't understand when people speak. Practice this on your own. Your speech will become more natural, and your listening skills will develop. Because you'll expect of hers to become of hers. And your life will be easier in English. That's how to improve your pronunciation and understand fast speech using poetry. Too Many Daves by Dr. Seuss.